Hello everyone, this is your friend Naruto Multiverse 2.0 and we are back in new fanfic. What if Naruto discovered the legendary sword, and Kurenai became the queen of his harem? Part 1. Elemental Countries. The land of shinobi and kunoichi. These countries are ruled by the ninjas and daimyos of the 5 great countries. Hai no Kuni or Land of Fire, said to be the strongest of the 5 and winner of all 3 great ninja wars. Led by the Hokage or Fire Shadow, who resides within Konohagakure, village hidden in the leaves. Kaminari no Kuni or Land of Lightning is led by the Raikage or Lightning Shadow, ruled from Kumogakure, village hidden in the clouds. Kase no Kuni or Land of Wind, led by the Kazekage and ruled from Sunagakure, village hidden in the sand. Mizu no Kuni or Land of Water, led by the Mizukage and ruled from Kurigakure, village hidden in the mist. Finally, Tsuchi no Kuni or Land of Earth, led by the Tsuchikage and ruled from Iwagakure, village hidden in the stone. Each of these are complemented by their own daimyos. Konohagakure is seen as the most peaceful of the villages despite its bloody past. The Sandaime Hokage was an old man nearing his second retirement. He fought in 2 of the 3 ninja wars and came out of them named the Professor, for his ingenuity and knowledge of ninjutsu. His predecessor and successor, the Yondaime Hokage, gave his life to defeat the greatest enemy Konoha had ever faced. The Yondaime was hailed as one of the strongest shinobi to ever grace the elemental countries. He was nicknamed Yellow Flash, for the telltale yellow light of his signature move, the Hiraishin. He gave his life to stop the Kyuubi no Kitsune. The Kyuubi was destruction incarnate. It would level cities and mountains with single swipes of its tails. This brings us to the start of the life of Naruto Uzumaki, the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. Timeskip. 7 years later. October 10th. Konoha is enjoying great weather. The sun is shining with some clouds to provide cover for the lovers resting in the parks. Merchants are covering the streets with merchandise they have acquired to sell. Overall, a very pretty day for everyone except one boy, though he is only 7 years old. Naruto Uzumaki is scrounging in the garbage cans behind the Akamichi barbecue restaurant. He stands at a mere 3 feet despite his age. He wears rags with hints of what appears to have been an orange jumpsuit. His dirty hair looks almost black with the filth he has been forced to live in. His face is adorned with 6 whisker marks, 3 on each cheek, which would give him a cute look should any woman look twice in his direction. Underneath his rags, the sight of a malnourished and underfed body can be seen, along with numerous scars. The thing that would capture any traveler, for any native would not look long at this boy. The very sight of this boy's eyes can cause the soaring of a person's soul or the flinching of a person's heart. When the boy is happy, his bright blue eyes would bring joy to all who would care to look. When he is sad, the people would flinch away from the hurt, the sorrow, the loneliness reflected within the boy's eyes. Naruto always scrounges around here on his birthday because they have the best food in town. He thinks of it as treating himself on his most miserable day of the year. He giggled when he thought of his treat. Most other stores would run him off even if it was the trash cans, but the Akamichis would leave him alone most of the time. Naruto was hurrying through the food to eat so he could go to his hiding spot before night fell. For some reason, whenever night fell on his birthday, the mobs would come and look for Naruto to hurt him worse than they did every other month. During his birthday month he received beatings almost daily, whereas in other months it would be more like once every 1 to 2 weeks. This had happened since he was thrown out of the orphanage when he was 3 years old. So for 4 years he has been living on the streets. He has become quite attentive and very resourceful and has almost thrived, if one could thrive while living on the streets, but now he has to hurry. Naruto was wandering about in a section of the city he was not in often when he smelled something wonderful. That smells delicious, Naruto thought, so he walked around until he could determine the source of the smell. He came upon a ramen stand with a sign reading, Ichiraku's, and he immediately went to the trash cans to see if he could salvage anything. Naruto was so absorbed in his rummaging that he did not notice the sun, and when Naruto finally realized there was none thrown away, he looked up to see the sun setting. Oh! Naruto immediately began to make his way as stealthily as he could to the forest where he would hide in the night of his birthday. He was almost to the Hokage monument when the mobs found him. "It's the demon brat. Get him!" yelled a random mobster. The shinobi within the group grabbed Naruto and tied him up so he wouldn't escape, and the crowd began to exact their vengeance on the poor 7-year-old. "I haven't done anything to you." "Why?" Naruto yelled through his pain. "Haven't done anything. Haven't done anything. You killed my father. Now we are gonna finish what the fourth started," salivated the villagers. Naruto took the beatings, each blow more painful than the last, each adding onto the already numerous scars on his frail body. They poured salt on his wounds to make the scars inflame and left him to die. Their final act was to crucify his hands and legs before walking off, hoping he would bleed to death. No one would finish the poor boy off, thinking he was too evil to allow a swift death. Naruto managed to trick them into thinking they had crucified his left hand, but he had not been. Even through the pain, Naruto's cunning mind managed to keep him alive as it had these past 4 years. Naruto plucked the kunai from his legs and arm, not a whimper being heard from him, and proceeded to limp off in extreme pain so as to hide from the next mob. Naruto limped into his cave. He considered it his own since he found it when he was 5 and has used it the past 2 years as a sort of safe house for when he needed a place to recover from his occasional beatings. Although he claimed it, he never explored it fully because it gets so dark further in that Naruto was not inclined to go further. Once Naruto entered the cave, he collapsed upon the makeshift bed of leaves he has made. Naruto awoke hours later feeling better but sore. It was raining outside, he saw, and moved further into the cave to get away from the lashing of the fierce wind accompanying the storm. Deciding it would be better to sleep the storm out, he fell asleep again in a drier spot. Awakening once again, Naruto had full mobility and hurt very little. He had always healed fast, but Naruto never questioned it after seeing the Sandaime lie whenever he was in the orphanage about it whenever he asked. Suddenly, lightning flashed outside and Naruto heard a cracking sound from further in the cave. Deciding to finally search the cave since he did not have anything else to do, Naruto dusted himself off and began his trek further inside. Naruto had been wandering around in the dark for quite some time. He always had superb night vision, so he had not tripped and hurt himself yet, but he was wondering how deep this cavern went. So Naruto continued on but started to notice little things different from regular caves. How the floor evened out. The walls and ceilings became smoother and more defined. Soon enough, Naruto came upon a door with a weird symbol upon it. Naruto was not very good at reading or writing, but he was certain this was not kanji and wondered what he had found. Being the curious 7-year-old he is, he attempted to push upon the door. Once Naruto's hands touched the door, the sigil on the door began glowing a bluish-white aura and flashed. Naruto's hand remained stuck to the door as the sigil flashed repeatedly. Naruto was reviewing his entire life up until this point. The ignorance of the villagers, the matrons at the orphanage not feeding him, seeing the old man, living in squalor and filth for 4 years. All the way up until today's beating, which had surpassed the others. Suddenly, a voice bellowed. Never has one as pure been born. To hold such a burden yet remain so pure. You may pass. The doors swung wide and Naruto's eyes widened in their sockets at the blast of air that blew past him. Not at the strength of the blast but of the smell. It smelled of fresh rain, of the springtime flowers and of honey. Not of musk and death as one would expect of such an old cavern. Naruto stepped into the massive cavern to see stone pillars reaching the ceiling many stories higher. Lighted orbs lighting the pathway all the way to a raised dais. Naruto began his walk through the underground cavern, not noticing the wind pick up around him and shooting gusts into the dark. When Naruto reached the dais, he could feel the ancient entity standing guard over the stairs leading to the top. The figure spoke in that same calming yet yelling voice. "What brings you here, young one? I was simply looking for a place to sleep away from the villagers. I did not want to be hurt any longer and decided to explore the rest of this cave since the storm is too fierce for me to return to the village anyways." Naruto responded in wide-eyed fascination. The figure looked at Naruto and spoke, "If you had power, what would you do with it?" Naruto's eyebrow furrowed. He thought long before trying to answer the entity. While the blue-eyed person thought the entity was impressed. He showed wisdom well beyond his years, even considering his lifestyle, and was not brash like many before him. Finally, Naruto spoke. "I would make it so no one could hurt me. Only to protect yourself would you seek power." The specter spoke again, seemingly frowning. "And so that when others recognize me I could protect them. Of course." Naruto spoke as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. The entity chuckled. "Ha ha. Even though some persecute you, you would still protect them. Ludicrous. But I can see you speak the truth, you pass my test. Wield kamikaze well, young one." With that, the entity faded away, but not before speaking his final warning. "All is not as it seems, look deeply and your blade will never fail you." Naruto pondered the final warning before beginning his short trek up the stairs to the dais. When he crested above the final step, he could see a depression further within the circular dais. When he finally reached the edge of the depression, he gasped. Sitting within the depression was a ring of stairs leading to a stone table. Upon the stone table, a blade sat with its sheath nearby. It sat humming. Naruto was dumbstruck at the beauty of the blade. As simplistic as it was a sight to behold. The kanji on the sheath read kamikaze, or divine wind. Naruto slowly made his way down the short flight of steps to the sword and made to grasp the handle. "Before touching this blade, beware your heart." A voice spoke. "Only those strong of heart and sure of their strength may wield me. Be careful lest you fail like countless others before you." Naruto faltered but for a moment and spoke. "I have never failed in anything I have set myself to. I have lived a life of hunger and sadness. I am worthy of wielding you kamikaze," and grasped the blade's hilt. The entire area flashed before dimming back down. "Congratulations. I accept you as my master, Naruto-sama. Please use me as you will." Kamikaze spoke. Naruto was surprised. The voice sounded in his head instead of outside. "Please do not be frightened. I have simply integrated myself into you by accepting you. No one else may wield me unless both you and I deem them worthy. However, only you will be able to wield my full potential. You are the first to ever gain my power. I am honored to be in your service, Naruto-sama." Naruto was stunned. He just gained a beautiful blade, but he did not know how to use it. He could finally defend himself against his enemies when they would attack. Naruto began to wonder why this sword was hidden away and what sort of powers it might possess. "Naruto-sama, my powers will awaken as you grow more powerful. I regret to inform you that you cannot use me to protect yourself or anyone else until you have trained with me. But do not worry, I am, as you can see, sentient, so I will train you in the ancient and lost art of the wind style that comes along with myself to complement my powers." "Sweet. So what can we do now, kamikaze?" Naruto almost yelled. "We will have to train you physically so you can handle my techniques. Your natural affinity is wind, so we together will make you a wind lord." "Are you left-handed or right-handed, Naruto-sama?" questioned Kamikaze. I write with my left hand and can throw stuff with it more accurately, but my right arm is stronger," answered Naruto. "Ambidextrous. Amazing, you really can pull out my full potential. That, however, is a long way off. As a side note, please think your answers to me so that people do not think you are crazy, Naruto-sama. We will need to get you some better clothes, a well-balanced diet and some training weights. A nice place to sleep would do better than what you have now. For now, let's see if we can't find that old man who was nice to you," stated Kamikaze. Time warp. Earlier that same day, Kurenai Uehi, Chunin of Konoha, was returning from a horrible mission. She had been sent on a simple high C-rank mission with another Chunin to transport a package from Kase no Kuni to Konoha. The trip to the sand village was uneventful. It wasn't until they were only a day away from Konoha on their return trip that things went to shit. First, the team had come across some bandits that decided Kurenai would be good fun and attempted to subdue them. They were no match for the Chunin's superior skills, but with their number they managed to wound her partner. She managed to dress the wound and keep her companion from dying, but then a missing nin from Iwa, which still had a high grudge from their last war, decided that two weakened Chunin would be easy pickings and engaged them in combat. The missing nin managed to kill Kurenai's teammate and assumed it was easy street to subdue Kurenai. However, Kurenai is known as the Genjutsu mistress of Konoha even at her young age of 14. She was the foremost Genjutsu expert and would not be taken down easily. She defeated the, as she later found out, B-rank nin and sealed his head into a sealing scroll. Deciding that she needed to rest before continuing her journey, Kurenai found a secure place to sleep and fell into a sleep full of the nightmares of Kunoichi being captured. Luck was not on Kurenai's side, however. She woke up 1 hour later tired and cranky from an unrestful sleep and hearing voices of bandits near her. Knowing she was weakened from all her fighting, she waited until she saw an opening to the treetops. Once she had a clear shot, she took off in the treetops running from the bandits. Unfortunately, one of the bandits saw her and the group of 3 genins started chasing her. In her tired state, Kurenai only got to the outskirts of the forests of Konoha before her chakra gave out and she was forced to the floor and running on adrenaline. The genin quickly caught her, and after a brief taijutsu fight, in which Kurenai broke one of the genin's noses, the genins had captured Kurenai and were getting ready to enjoy their spoils. One of the genin said, "So the Genjutsu mistress of Konoha, what a ice queen indeed, look at those eyes. I have never seen anything like it." Indeed, Kurenai's eyes were a curious shade. Red eyes marked her with her flowing black hair that reached to her mid-back and budding C-cup S, which would only get fuller. Following her dress of bandages down to her toned ass and legs that seemed to go on forever. Kurenai was one of the most sought-after women within the village, however she had turned down advances for the exact reason that she is about to be raped for. They only wanted her body. Kurenai thought, shit, of course I have to come across perverts left and right today. This is the 3rd time for Kami's sake. Can't there be any decent men left in the world? If you're gonna do it, just get it over with. Kurenai then spat in the genin's face. All of the genins gained a malicious smirk on their face. Don't worry, you're gonna enjoy this by the time we are done. I doubt it, retorted Kurenai. Shit, to think I lose my virginity to these assholes then I die. And with that the genin began their advance. Naruto was walking out in the forest after having taken an alternate route when finding his original way blocked. He had kamikaze slung over his back because it was currently too big to be tied to his waist. Naruto was heading north to Konoha when he began hearing strange grunting noises. Naruto-sama, I suggest we see what is going on over there and quickly. Kamikaze stated, knowing what those sounds probably meant. Marking how urgently Kamikaze said it, he drew Kamikaze slowly so as not to make too much noise and gripped it tightly before moving forward. After walking a few steps, the noises became louder and then he heard a loud feminine scream. Immediately, rushing forward, he pushed aside a part of a bush to look into the clearing ahead but not be seen himself, and was shocked at what he saw. There in the clearing was one of the most beautiful women he had ever seen. Being manhandled by 3 butt men. They were in the process of ripping her clothes off. He saw the fear in her eyes and immediately knew if he did not do something he was going to regret it. So he started to formulate a plan when Kamikaze spoke up. Naruto-sama, I can help you take out these vile beings if you allow, but this will drain me and I will not be able to do it again for some time. Do you wish to do it? Asked Kamikaze. Naruto replied without any hesitation, Do your thing, Kamikaze. If I cannot help her, then how can I help myself? Kamikaze hummed in response and told Naruto, indeed you are the correct wielder for me. You know nothing of the other person yet you are willing to sacrifice your power for her. Astounding. I shall grant your wish. She will be saved. With that being said, Naruto's eyes changed. Naruto's blue eyes changed to a menacing red with slits for pupils. However, these slits were not normal, they were in the form of an curve similar to an S but not quite. Instantly Naruto's vision improved and Naruto could feel his body moving more fluidly than he ever thought possible. Naruto charged into the clearing right as the genin managed to grab the rest of Kurenai's dress off. They were stunned that this little kid moved on them. Before they could blink, Naruto had the one who was stroking himself in preparation castrated and decapitated. While his head fell off, the other two genins took their stances and one yelled, "You little twerp. You killed our friend. We are gonna beat you dead." And with that they charged. Naruto waited their charge out and ducked easily under the first's fist and rolled to the left, putting the first attacker between himself and the second while thrusting his sword forward much faster than a 7-year-old should and impaling the first attacker. As the first slumped down, the second was contemplating what kind of monster Naruto must be to move like that while being so young. Kurenai was shocked. She could not believe this young boy had come out of nowhere and managed to kill not one but two genins and has almost saved her from being raped by them. Her belongings in the package are still in her pouch, so she was just staring in awe at this dirty boy handling 3 genin like he is a Junin and they are greenhorns. Naruto was getting tired and he knew it. Moving at speeds his body shouldn't be able to and using as much energy as he had on his malnourished body took a toll on him. He knew that he needed Kamikaze to finish soon so he didn't pass out. The third genin was just trying to figure out how to beat this kid. He eventually decided that a long-range attack was best against a sword user, so backed up and started doing hand signs as fast as he could to activate his jutsu. Seeing this, Kamikaze smirked after recognizing the jutsu and said to Naruto, "Would you like to try my most basic power, Naruto-sama? It would be most effective against the current jutsu being employed." "Sure," Naruto answered and closed his eyes, concentrating on the energy source Kamikaze told him to activate. Kurenai's eyes widened as he watched the young boy's eyes close as the enemy finished his hand signs and put his hands up to his mouth. "Run!" she screamed. The third genin smirked as he fired his fireball straight at the young boy, sure that he could not dodge or block this jutsu. Fire style. Grand Fireball no Jutsu. Naruto concentrated solely on the energy source, barely heard the goddess call or the enemy's jutsu. He finally found it and pushed it into Kamikaze. Kamikaze smirked, if such a thing was possible, and said, "Release the energy, Naruto-sama, and call out your attack." "Benny," Naruto said as the fireball bared down on him, and the goddess stared in shock as Naruto's eyes snapped open and a red aura surrounded him. K's. The genin's smirk faded as he watched the red aura gather around the raised blade of the boy, and with a single downward swing of the blade he sent a crescent of red energy through the fireball and straight at him. With his surprise, he was too slow to move out of the way and was sliced clean in two. Kurenai, seeing the threat terminated, stared at the smiling boy holding his sword and had to ask herself, maybe there is hope for men after all. Still, where did he come from and where did he get such a powerful blade? She could feel herself giving out. The stress of almost being raped 3 times in the long run were taking a toll, and now that the adrenaline was leaving, she could feel herself falling asleep. "Hey, are you alright, Megami-chan?" Kurenai blushed at the nickname given her by this young boy who saved her life and virtue. "Hey, you're a Konoha ninja, do you need help getting back?" Naruto asked. "My name is Kurenai Uehi, Chunin. I am returning from a mission, but I can feel myself going out. Please take me to the Hokage and don't forget my belongings," she said as she pointed towards her pack. Then she fell forward unconscious. The last thing she remembers is 6 whisker marks on the boy's cheeks and him managing to appear right next to her as she fell forward. Naruto saw Kurenai fall forward and rushed to grab her. He was tired, but he would persevere for her sake. He laid her down and took the rags off his chest, which were still pretty tied together, and managed to cover her s and downstairs, as Naruto would say. He wondered how he was going to get to Konoha without hurting her. He could not just leave her here. So, using his cunning mind again, he lashed together some big branches with strips from the dead guy's clothes. He took all their weapons and scrolls and loaded them up with Kurenai and started to drag Kurenai on the sled to Konoha. Time skip. 3 hours. Edge of Konoha. The Hokage had finally gotten out of that damn office. His only reprieve from there had been when he checked in on Naruto when he would be brought into the hospital, but he never had the time to stay until the boy woke. He got regular reports from Anbu watching him at the orphanage, but something had been fishy of late. Naruto was looking skinnier and unhealthy. He was considering getting Naruto an apartment to live by himself while he was enrolled within the ninja academy. The Hokage sighed. Ever since that damn law 4 years ago, in which the Hokage had 3 times the paperwork, he has not been able to keep as close an eye on Naruto. Yes, the reports do say he has been doing okay, but that is only from reports, no actual interaction. He finally got that damn law revoked, and he would be damned if he let Naruto be by himself any longer. He was walking around the edge of the forest to calm his nerves when he heard a rustling in the bushes. Hiding his kunai under his robe, he waited while watching the bush. Waiting. Out from the bush came a boy around Naruto's age with black hair and blue eyes. Wait a moment. Yes, there they were, the whisker marks on his cheeks. Naruto! The old man exclaimed. Then he took in the rest of what he carried, a sword slung across his back. A sled carrying a exhausted but otherwise unharmed Kurenai, packs from what appeared to be other shinobi, and rags covering his body. The Hokage's eyes narrowed seeing all of this together. I believe we need to have a talk, Naruto. Hi Oji-san, Naruto said as he fainted weak from 3 hours of pulling a teenager and being underfed. This is only the beginning. The poll is to figure out if the harem will proceed or not. I have the girls picked out from previous poll. It will stay active until I finish the 3rd chapter, and then when it has been finished I will stop the poll and whatever has won will be used. The poll takes about 10 seconds. Please give me some feedback. I love it when an author responds to his viewers' opinions, so I will try to respond to yours. If you have a suggestion or want to see something, put it in the review or PM me, I will try to work it in. If not, sorry. Disclaimer. I do not own Naruto or his affiliates. I do own Kamikaze, my own OC. The quality of a man is not measured by his possessions but by his love for others, myself. Chapter 2: Explanations and Reparations. The Hokage rushed to stop Naruto's fall and managed to catch the black-haired boy before he hit the ground. The Hokage sighed. What happened to you, my boy? The Hokage decided he could question Naruto later and checked his and Kurenai's vital signs. Satisfied they were only unconscious, he gathered up little Naruto in his arms and made a whistle with his teeth. Immediately 4 Anbu appeared. These are the best of the best. The Hokage's personal guard that leaves him at no time and switch off with 4 others. Kneeling in front of the Hokage, they await their orders. They answer to no one but the Hokage himself. Take Miss Yuahi to the hospital for an exam and see to it she gets the rest she deserves. Hi, Hokage-sama. 2 Anbu grab Kurenai and shunshin her to the hospital while the Hokage walks with Naruto to the Hokage tower. Upon arrival, he is swamped with aides and ninja asking what Naruto had done and claiming he had done something to the festival this night. The Hokage, having had enough of these ludicrous proceedings, spikes his killer intent, will be key from now on, and speaks. The next person to speak a lie about little Naruto tonight will be on the executioner's block tomorrow morning. Do I make myself clear? Bellowed the old man. The crowd dispersed faster than Naruto running for food. The Hokage sighs. He is doing that a lot more lately, and proceeds to his office where he can continue watching the fireworks celebrating the Yondaime's sacrifice and wait for Naruto to wake up. While he is waiting, he looks through the pouches he found on the sled. He sees the package that Kurenai had been sent to get. He had honestly thought that to be an easy mission and was hoping to get Kurenai some more missions to get her to Junin so he could have some genjutsu classes with her. Noticing the pouches seem a little heavy, he searches through them and comes to the conclusion it was 3 genins and that Kurenai had a sealing scroll for heads in hers. Quickly unsealing the head, he went about locating if the Iowa nin had been in the bingo book, the book for missing nins and their capture reward. Recording Kurenai down for the B-rank nin and the C-rank completed, he turned his attention to Naruto and the sword laying on his back. Looking closely, he noticed the sword was actually a ninjutsu. It was slightly curved but was double-bladed, sharp on both edges. The tsuba, or guard, was the weirdest the Sandaime had ever seen. The connection between blade and hilt seemed to be a whirlpool of sorts, but not of water but of wind. The cloth wrapped around the hilt ensured a firm and easy grip. Attempting to get a better look at the blade, the Sandaime attempted to pull the blade but had to remove his hand when the wind picked up and almost cut his hand off. Frowning slightly, the Sandaime sat back in his seat to contemplate this new development. Seeing Naruto's face in sleep made him soften and he looked over Naruto. His hair looked blackened with dried mud, dirt, leaves and what appeared to be something else. His arms and legs sported numerous scars and scratches, no doubt from his trek within the woods. However, it was his chest area that made the Sandaime seethe and start to radiate ki. You could see Naruto's ribs, each were clear as day. The scars here were much worse than his arms and his breath rattled within his lungs as if taking a breath caused him pain. The Sandaime wondered what else he had missed if his own Anbu had not ensured he get fed properly. Time skip 3 hours. Naruto began to stir and the first thing he noticed was that he was on a comfortable sofa. He froze trying to figure out what house he was in this time. However, before he could do anything drastic, Kamikaze spoke up. Naruto-sama, you were picked up by the old man, remember? Hi. Naruto answered. Naruto cracked his eyes open and saw the old man silently smoking on his pipe. His eyes holding a smoldering fury Naruto had rarely seen in him, and he noticed the old man had not seen he was awake yet. Naruto sat up and put his biggest smile on and looked at the old man. He hadn't changed a bit in 4 years. Hello, G-san. The Sandaime chuckled, seeing nothing could keep the poor boy down, and favored him with a small smile. Hello, Naruto-kun. G-san, where is Kurenai-chan? Naruto questioned curiously. He was genuinely concerned for the young woman's life whom he had saved. Kurenai-chan, is it? The Hokage thought. I had her taken to the hospital once you have arrived. You have been out for 3 hours, Naruto. I need you to be serious and tell me what happened. Should I tell him that you can talk, Kamikaze? Naruto thought to the sword. Perhaps it would be best to keep me out of this conversation. Tell him you found the sword within the cave, but do not tell of your trials. No one else will be allowed in, so there is no harm done. Answered Kamikaze. Giving a mental nod, Naruto turned to the Sandaime and began his tale. 1 hour later, then I saw Kurenai-chan collapse and I made the sled and dragged her all the way home. The Sandaime was gobsmacked. This boy took out 3 genin with this new sword which only he seemed capable of wielding, but was obviously not a Kyuubi trick, for its power was bluish white, not red, and wind, not fire. Not only that, he had been beaten today and shrugged off such severe wounds in hours. Yes, the Sandaime was speechless for about 5 minutes afterwards and decided he would have to talk to Kurenai to get her version. Well, Naruto, we should get you to the orphanage. Even though you are so late, they should still have your bed for you. Naruto, his head to the left a little bit with a confused expression on his face. Oji-san, I have not been to the orphanage for almost 4 of my birthdays now, stated Naruto with a serious expression. Once again, the Sandaime was speechless. Naruto had not been in the orphanage for 4 years. Where had all those orphanage reports come from then? The Anbu only really made reports when they found him beaten so badly they took him to the hospital, otherwise they ignored him. The Sandame knew this but figured with the matrons Naruto would be fine for first aid and a place to live. Naruto, where do you live right now? How do you get food? Dreading the answer. Oji-san, I have a nice corner of an alley about 3 blocks from the wall and a cardboard box that keeps the rain out. As for food, the restaurants and all groceries kicked me out, so I scrounge around the dumpsters when I get hungry, and on my birthdays I manage to get some barbecue from the big people's trash can. Naruto explained. A single tear fell from the Hokage's eye as he heard of the horrible life his adopted grandson had been living. He should have been in a loving, caring environment. Instead, the council and villagers, even some of his own shinobi, had ruined his childhood. Steel came to the Hokage's eyes as he contemplated what he would do in the coming days. His will of fire rekindled at the injustice of Naruto. He was going to ensure Naruto got what he deserved. The Hokage turned to Naruto and said, "Naruto, is there anything you want?" Naruto thought for a moment, and after conversing again with Kamikaze he stated, "Some money for food and clothes and some training weights so I could train to be a ninja. A place to sleep would be nice too, Oji-san." The Hokage blinked, then blinked again, and his eyes softened. "Very well, Naruto, I will have a new apartment set up for you. You will get a monthly stipend from me every first Tuesday of the month. Come see me and I will give you money. In a few days we will go buy you food and groceries for the new apartment. Until then I want you to stay with me while I take care of things. Okay?" Naruto thought for 1 second, then nodded his agreement and spoke, "One last thing, Oji-san." Anything else, Naruto?" the Hokage asked. "Yes, please do not tell Kurenai-chan who saved her. Inform her that it was a random swordsman who simply wanted to help," Naruto said. The Hokage's eyes widened at the request and at the thought-out excuse, and then narrowed. "Why?" the Hokage asked. Naruto responded, "I see how the villagers and shinobi look at me. I know not why they hate me so, but a beautiful woman such as Kurenai does not need to have such hate thrown on her for simply trying to thank the one who saved her. I do not need her thanks and I do not want her pity. Please tell her this excuse for me so she may go on with her life and not have to be lumped with me." Another tear fell from the Hokage's eye yet again at the maturity shown by the blonde in the past few hours. "All right, Naruto-kun, I agree," the Hokage sighed with a heavy heart. "Let's get you to a hot spring to clean you up, then we can go to bed, nay." It took 2 hours of scrubbing to get Naruto's hair back to its golden blonde color, and Naruto managed to clean his wounds. After crawling into the first bed in 4 years, Naruto fell into the most peaceful rest of his entire life. Safe under the Sandame's watchful eye. Time skip. Next morning, Kurenai woke within the hospital. What happened? I feel horrible." As she began reviewing her memories, she recalled the horrible mission and became depressed for allowing her comrade's death, but then came upon the awkward young boy who had saved her. What was that weird weapon he carried with him? That strong, ferocious aura that exuded from him as he was enraged from those bastards' actions. She wondered where he went. He was an interesting person and he obviously got her home. Finally, she shot up, wondering where he might be. Seeing her heart rate increase and all the beeping on the machines went crazy, Kurenai managed to calm herself down so as not to have doctors rushing to her. She relaxed as a nurse came in and decided to get some information. "What time is it and when did I get here?" questioned Kurenai. The nurse softened her gaze upon Kurenai's questions and answered, "You were brought here late last night. You must have been quite exhausted to have slept through the night and well into the morning. It is my understanding that you ninja are up early and sleeping till almost 10 in the morning is a little late for you." Kurenai was a little shocked at how long she slept, but guessed after everything that had happened in the past few days she was a little more exhausted than she thought. After coming to this realization, she questioned, "Who brought me here and when can I be released? I must make a report to Hokage-sama." The nurse expressed some surprise at the first question and answered, "You were brought here by the Hokage's personal guard Anbu, and you should be able to check out around lunchtime once the doctors have cleared you. You weren't really hurt, just a few scratches and some chakra depletion." Satisfied with the answer, Kurenai laid back to wait for the doctors to release her. 2 hours later, Kurenai was on her way to the Hokage Tower to deliver her report and inquire as to where her savior had run off to. She felt a need to at the very least thank him and find out his name. After a short time of talking to the secretary, she presented herself before her commander and saluted him. Noticing the room surrounding her, she noticed the 4 pictures of the previous and current Hokages as well as the sofa with accompanying table for drinks or leisure. The big wooden desk with its back to the most impressive view of the village besides the top of the Hokage monument. The Hokage watched as Kurenai went through the motions of greeting him as according to their stations. He was curious what her story would reveal. "Hello Kurenai, how are you feeling after such a rough night?" Kurenai answered, "I am fine Hokage-sama. Thank you for your concern. Should I start my report now?" With a simple wave of his hand, the Hokage motioned for her to continue. About 40 minutes later, then I introduced myself to the young man and asked him to please get me to you and that I was going to pass out. Now here I am. Do you by any chance know where the young boy is so I can thank him for his efforts? The Hokage's eyes flashed sorrowfully before responding. He was a wandering swordsman who left town this morning saying that he expected no thanks for saving such a woman as you. Saying that rapists are the lowest of the low and that the only worse beings are child beaters. Kurenai was stunned and it showed on her face for a full 5 seconds before she regained her sense and stopped her thoughts. She was sure the boy would want something in return, but he just helped out of what appeared to be the kindness of his heart. He then left before even seeing if she would do anything. She felt a pang of sadness at not being able to thank the boy. Then she started to think about him and became suspicious. There couldn't be that many swordsmen with whisker marks on their cheeks, and she resolved to find this boy and find out more about him. The Hokage, sensing the direction of Kurenai's thoughts, said, "He asked that you not seek him out to thank him and simply to move on with your life and try to forget such a traumatic experience. He did check on you before he left the village and wished you well in your life." Kurenai hid her shock this time well but still had steel in her red eyes as she replied, "Very well Hokage-sama, thank you for relaying his message." The Hokage nodded as he continued on his work. "Kurenai, the missing nin you brought in was a B-ranked nin and you will be compensated for the mission as well as the nin because your swordsman brought the package along with you." Kurenai responded, "Thank you Hokage-sama, if that is it, I must be going. I have a prior engagement that I hope I can still make." With a final wave of his hand and a dismissed, Kurenai left the Hokage's office. "Was that good enough?" Sarutobi asked. "Hi Oji-san. She will not recognize me when we go get my new clothes and with my hair clean." "Arigato," Naruto answered as he moved out from the secret room he had been hiding in when they were informed of Kurenai's approach. "I have one more appointment before we can go get your new outfit and apartment. Would you like to stay or would you like to go back in the room?" questioned Sarutobi. "I am going to sit on the sofa," Naruto answered and sat on the sofa swinging his little feet with his sword on his back, acting as the 7-year-old he really is. The Hokage smiled briefly before asking the secretary to bring in his last appointment of the day. In walked a teenager about Kurenai's age. She was just as beautiful as Kurenai and was hailed as the leader of the resistance within Kurigakure to fight the bloodline wars. She had red hair down to her knees in the back and a bang that covered her left eye, leaving on the right to actually be seen. Her dress fell around her in folds, leaving little to the imagination yet seemingly at the same time hiding much more. Her green eyes sparkled with a sharp intellect. She greeted the Hokage. "Hello Hokage-sama and thank you for seeing me," she said with a smile. She noticed Naruto and went a little starry-eyed over his cuteness but remembered her purpose here and returned her attention to the leader of this village. "Hokage-sama, I am here on a diplomatic mission to request aid for our forces in combating the bloodline wars that have started up within Kiri so that we may keep the bloodlines safe." As Mai Terumi, as Naruto found out by listening in, was speaking with the old man pleading her case. He took the time to note her posture and the aura surrounding her. He noticed she had the same posture as many of the masked people who would occasionally help him when he was hurt. He assumed she was powerful, and going by the smell of burnt rock and moisture surrounding her, she was deadly. He had always been able to smell things pretty well and had written it off as a regular thing considering he had no one else to compare himself to. The Hokage sighed and responded to the latest of Mei's points. I am sorry, but we cannot afford to help you with your war at the current time. Please accept my dearest apologies, and I hope all goes well with you. Mei was downcast but became angry and said, for a village that flaunts its bloodlines, you don't want to help others with their problems, I see, and proceeded to walk out of the office. However, something blocked her path. Naruto, sensing her anger and her intention of leaving, stood in the doorway and spoke to her when she almost knocked him over. I hope you live, Mei-chan. You are a strong and deadly woman. Please take my hope that you will win such an awful thing within your home and come out safe and sound. Please do not be mad at Oji-san. He is just keeping his home safe just as you are doing. Naruto smiled up at her. Mei's eyes softened and she spoke. Don't worry, I am just frustrated. What is your name, little one? Naruto. Mei-chan, that is my name. Mei chuckled at her newfound suffix and said, well, Naruto-kun, live long and I hope to see you again as well. With that, Mei left the village. The Hokage smiled, seeing Naruto's unnatural skill to bring even the worst of enemies together at work. Come on, Naruto-kun, let us get you some new clothes and find out how much money is owed to you. The Hokage's eyes grew steel when he mentioned money. He had sent money every month to the orphanage for Naruto and had been doing so automatically for the past 4 years. It was time to learn where Naruto's inheritance money had been spent. Sarutobi grabbed the deed for the apartment complex he bought specifically for Naruto and motioned for the little boy to follow him. The Hokage took Naruto to a shinobi-only store to meet an old friend of his that he was sure would not discriminate against him for the burden Naruto carried. As they walked, they entered a shinobi-only district, which coincidentally is where Naruto's new apartment was located, so the Sandaime could have a closer eye on Naruto. While they were walking, the Hokage decided to question Naruto. Naruto, have you considered what you want to do in life? Naruto pondered for a few seconds and answered, I want to become a shinobi, Oji-san. One so powerful I can protect all my precious ones and all the ones precious to them as well. The Hokage's eyes softened and he replied, then I shall have to send you to the academy, Naruto. It is not easy and you will be a year younger than the other applicants. We will be extending the curriculum a full year once this year starts as well, so you will not graduate until you are 12, Naruto. It is a hard life filled with misery and death. Do you still want to attend? It hurt to be so brutally honest, but the Hokage had to be sure Naruto wanted this, because even though he could do many things should the council wish it, Naruto attending the academy could prove to be hard to negotiate. The council has gained too much power as of recently, and it would take years for the Sandaime to revoke some laws and get the Hokage's power back in the correct hands. Naruto responded without hesitation, I will become the most powerful shinobi to protect the people I consider precious. Then let us get you what you will need for school. It will start in a few months and you need some supplies to go. The Hokage replied. They arrived at the store and Naruto was not impressed. It looked like a shack. The Hokage chuckled at Naruto's look. All is not as it seems, but before he could say anything, Naruto's eyes narrowed. Naruto spoke up. Oji-san, is there a genjutsu somewhere near here? The Hokage's eyes widened and he decided he would have to have Naruto's sense tested to see if he was developing extra sense for some reason. Hi Naruto-kun. The store is under a genjutsu so that only Anbu operatives may enter it. As a rule, only those who can break the genjutsu may shop here, but I am going to allow you to shop here because you managed to detect the genjutsu at such a young age. Naruto was ecstatic to be able to shop where the elite of the Hokage could and ran to the door before walking inside along with the Sandaime. Once inside, Naruto was stunned at the cleanliness of the store and how modern it looked compared to the outside. He saw row upon row of kunai, shuriken, ninja wire, explosive tags, and even different swords to be used. He finally came full circle to see the counter and the older man residing behind it looking at Naruto with a critical eye. Naruto flinched back seeing this and after gathering his courage glared back at the man as if daring him to try something. The older man suddenly laughed and spoke up, "So, Naruto Uzumaki finally decides to grace my humble abode. Nice to meet ya young man, my name is Kurisu. I was wondering when you would get around to scoping my shop out for some pranks on our favorite Anbu." Naruto beamed at the praise given by Kurisu and was glad to have someone who did not outright glare at him for some reason unknown to him. "Well, I had to work my way up. Wouldn't want me getting caught now, would I?" Kurisu chuckled at Naruto and said, "You my boy are going to be great, I can see it. Especially with the sandame behind ya. Pick up whatever clothes you need. I will get your academy package ready as I can guess you are attending the academy and we will work out what will need to be paid for. One last thing though, what are you doing with such a blade?" Naruto responded with complete awe and respect, "Well, Kurisu ni-san, I found this blade named Kamikaze in a cave not far from town. He is very helpful. I like this one. Naruto-sama, please return here and converse with him some more, perhaps he can help with your training." Kamikaze spoke. "Hi Kamikaze." Kurisu smirked and said, "Off with ya now and pick out some true shinobi clothing. I have your weapons ready with your return and some new books." Naruto walked off within the store and browsed around. After a little time figuring out what he wanted, he finally picked out some basic Anbu-style clothing to last his training and figured he would buy another set of clothes when he graduated. So garbed in regular Anbu issue clothing, he emerged from the clothing room no longer in rags. With his hair hanging longer than normal making its way down his back. He made his way back to the counter after throwing away the rags. When he stood before the counter, the Hokage and Kurisu both were very pleased with his choices and Kurisu spoke up, "Very good. Most your age would go for flashy colors but you chose practical stuff. Here's your academy set, but I have real kunai and shuriken that will be ready to use when you reach the appropriate skill level. The books are standard academy issue with some notes scribbled on the side by real shinobi. I keep very few books here, but the ones I do are more educational than anywhere but the Hokage vault. Now for payment, let me see." Naruto waited with bated breath while Kurisu started ringing things up with his register. "Tell me boy, where will you go to shop after you are finished here for your shinobi needs even while in the academy?" Naruto was a little taken aback but replied, "I would like to shop here Kurisu ni-san, if you don't mind, that is." Kurisu pondered for a moment and said, "Then think of this as an investment. Should you shop here for the rest of your life, I will give you all this equipment and will only sell you the best equipment from now on. What say you, Naruto?" Naruto responded with tears in his eyes. "Hi Kurisu ni-san. Could I get some more sets of these clothes?" Naruto asked. "Of course Ototo." Naruto's eyes widened before hugging the older man and being sent on his way. The sandame knew he had picked the right place to bring Naruto and knew that Kurisu would keep an eye on him. Should his Anbu fail, the sandame decided to show Naruto his apartment and let him get settled while he would go track down the orphanage to gather his money. So while he led Naruto to his apartment, he was taken by surprise when he noticed Naruto now wore a mask similar to Kakashi Hatake. Now the sandame was known as the Professor for a reason and instantly deduced that this was to serve two purposes. 1. Keep the villagers from recognizing him so fast without his whisker marks Naruto stood out far less. 2. Keep Kurenai from learning his identity and being persecuted. He smiled at Naruto's ingenuity and came upon his apartment. "Here we are Naruto. This apartment is yours. Here is your key and don't lose it, okay?" Naruto's eyes widened as he took in the spacious living room that he now owned. It contained a built-in sofa depression area, one with a flat-screen TV and a fireplace for cold nights. A king's chair, too, as well. Across from the entrance another doorway led to a small kitchen with a stove, oven, microwave and refrigerator. The pantry and fridge were stacked with healthy foods for Naruto to recover on. On the opposite wall of the TV a small hallway led to two bedrooms, one slightly larger than the other with adjoining bathroom and a hallway bathroom for guests. Naruto's eyes watered yet again as he took the sight in and hugged his Oji-san before he tested the rug within the bedrooms and sofa depression. Naruto, I need to take a short trip and when I get back we can go get dinner, okay? Sarutobi said. Hi Oji-san. Naruto yelled as he enjoyed bouncing on his new queen-sized bed that was like a lake for Naruto's little body. Naruto-sama, I suggest we take another bath to finish the process from yesterday and get ready for dinner. We will have to check that book you took for training. Naruto remembered that he took a book of seals written by his hero, the Yondaime, to help him while hiding as Oji-san talked to Kurenai. Naruto smirked. Hi kamikaze. The Hokage shunshine to the road leading to the orphanage that Naruto stayed at previously. He could feel his anger increasing in waves but he held it down so as to get what Naruto was owed. He walked into the orphanage and asked to speak to all the matrons since the little ones are eating dinner. All of the senior staff, the younger staff were hired after Naruto was kicked out, were assembled. The Hokage spoke, where is Naruto Uzumaki? I did not see him with the other children. The matrons paled. They had been told the Hokage would not have time to see Naruto until he was 8 and could be thrown out of the orphanage for being too old as he would be attending a school and not the orphanage's problem anymore. But now here the Hokage was a year early and none of them knew where the boy of 4 years missing had gone. Hokage-sama, that boy is sleeping upstairs. He needs his rest after all. He is tired from his long day. The Hokage could feel the ire rising and said, then one of you take me to him. I have an important matter to discuss with him. Trying to stop a disaster, the eldest of them there said, Hokage-sama, could it not wait for a few days so that the boy could sleep? Surely it is not so important as to awaken the boy. The Hokage finally had enough. Why can I not see Naruto? Is it that you do not know where he is? The matrons flinched. The Hokage spoke in a calm, deadly voice. No, you know not where he is because none of you have seen him in 4 years, have you not? For 4 years you have neglected to tell me you have lost the boy I had placed in your care. 4 years you took his money without giving it to him and have used it to buy others things he would need to survive. You will find all of his money and return it to me by the end of the day. I do not care if you must sell your personal belongings or your bodies to accomplish this task. It will be done or I will have you executed in the village square for child abuse. You owe me a total of 15,000 ryu, 3. You will have it by the time I return or you will suffer the consequences. Do I make myself clear? The matrons shivered at the key being exuded and simply nodded before rushing off to their bank accounts to scrounge up the money they had been stealing for 4 years. The Hokage shunshine to Naruto's apartment and, finding him cleaned up, took him to eat at the Akimichi restaurant Naruto had told him he treated himself to, on his birthdays. Naruto ate as ravenously as he did the night before and was content. Returning Naruto to his home after having walked around the village for a few hours. He shunshined to the orphanage for his final act of the night. The matrons were waiting for him with the money in an envelope. He checked the money and said, very well, you will keep your lives. The collection let out a sigh and smiled, thinking that was the extent of their punishment. However, you are all fired and will be sentenced to life in prison for no less than 15 years. Snapping his fingers, the matrons were all escorted away with looks of shock on their faces by Anbu. Sarutobi found the newer matrons and informed them of their promotions and shunshine to the bank to deposit the money in the account for Naruto. Having finished his reparations, the Hokage finally made his way to his bed and fell asleep. Across town, Kurenai was sitting in a bar with her fellow friends. Yugao Azuki, a Chunin Anbu with a heavy fascination for the sword arts or Kenjutsu, and Anko Mitarashi, a Chunin, who was the ex-apprentice to the snake Sanin Orochimaru hated for being associated with him and supposedly being a spy despite the way he left her. Kurenai had related the tale of her mission and was gauging her friend's reactions. Yugao was looking starry-eyed at the thought of such an attack that could cut through jutsu, and Anko was thinking of the boy who saved her. "So, what are you gonna do, Nai-chan?" Anko asked. Kurenai sighed and responded, "I want to find this boy. He is obviously very skilled and a good person. I would like to ask you guys to keep your eyes and ears peeled for such a person while on your missions, and I will do the same." Yugao immediately answered, "Didn't he ask you not to look for him?" Kurenai answered, "I don't wanna apologize to him, I just want to find out if he really helped only out of the goodness of his heart." Yugao said, "Well, count me in, I want to find out what attack he used." "It sounds amazing." Anko replied, "Me too, I want to see what kind of person would do such a thing." Kurenai sighed and said, "Thank you guys. I am getting tired of all these perverts going after us just for looks. We will find this guy, and who knows, maybe he will stay here in Konoha if he turns out to be good." Unfortunately, none of the women would hear anything about this mystery boy for almost 6 years. Now, if you want some more explanations or you are confused on something, feel free to PM. I usually do something for a reason, so if you are confused about a character's actions, please do not go ranting in a review, just send me a PM. I do read my reviews and am proud to say flames have not been made. Poor Naruto and Choji. For flashy techniques. The Benika's Crimson Wind attack makes no noise, has a red tinge to the wind that is flying towards its target. It is not overly flashy. Kurenai simply noticed it from how it cut through the fireball and followed the path, noticing the red. Naruto's attacks are made from wind that in itself makes it stealthy, because the only thing changing is the air density to denote the attack. As for Kyuubi's chakra, you will have to read and find out why Naruto's attack was crimson. Saying this now, Naruto holds back in the practices at school in his second class to not draw attention to himself, will explain more later. The other class sees him as dead last because he failed the previous year, not because his grades are dead last. That is Kiba. Naruto cannot use his sword or speed within the classes because of fear of the council. He is wise enough to notice that. For what they are wearing, look them up in their normal clothes unless I specify otherwise. Give thanks for what you are now, and keep fighting for what you want to be tomorrow. Fernanda Miramontes Landeros. Chapter 3, Training in Academy Times. Time skip 5 years. Naruto cracked his eyes open and beheld his apartment. 5 years it had been since he acquired Kamikaze, and he began his training under the Sword Master. "Good morning, Kamikaze." "Good morning, Naruto-sama. How are you feeling after last night?" Kamikaze replied. Last night he had stepped up his training to figure out why he could not do that blasted Bunshin no Jutsu. Kamikaze had said that it was because he held too much chakra and could not fine-tune it enough yet to make the clones. It was like putting your finger in front of a fire hose. "I am fine, thank you, Kamikaze." Naruto responded as he reviewed his training exercises. He knew the leaf floating, tree climbing, and water walking exercises and could do them all while combing the leaf floating with the other two, but just could not seem to control his vast chakra reserves enough. Deciding to ponder it later, Naruto got up, stretched, and made his way to the kitchen to eat breakfast before going out in the dark, since it was only 5 o'clock, and running his usual laps around Konoha before the populace gets up and sneers at him. He had used the same morning routine after getting settled within his new apartment. He would wake up each morning around 5 o'clock, do physical training, running, push-ups, sit-ups, and stretching while winding down. He had learned the exercises from Kurisu. Kamikaze had been right. Kurisu was a retired S-rank Anbu. He was feared in many small countries but kept a low profile so as not to attract attention. Kurisu gave him the control exercises, stating that, With your chakra reserves you are going to need them. Naruto was a little surprised but accepted Kurisu's help yet again. He had bought all his clothes and supplies from Kurisu and was surprised when the Anbu just accepted that he was a fixture there. When one customer sneered at him, Kurisu threw him out and told him to inform the rest of the ANBU to stay away if they cannot act civil. Needless to say, because Kurisu's store was the best, rivaled only by the Higurashis, none of the Anbu complained, and some actually came to like the blonde when he wasn't pranking. After training himself into the ground for about 5 hours, he would sit down and review some of the chakra theories and history taught in the academy until lunchtime around noon. He would eat lunch made by himself, after learning how to cook again from Kurisu, although Kurisu's foods would always be spicy. He would train with kamikaze in the wind style. The style was not so much a style as it was a way of moving. Being one with the wind was the theme of the style. A few set stances, but it was a style meant to be flowing and erratic. You would react to your enemy's moves and expound upon the basic stances. It required a heavily agile body, unmatched reflexes and speed. Power was not necessary, but the training Naruto went through increased his strength to a respectable level for his age. Naruto's creative mind would, as Kamikaze put it, within battle cause a strategist to cream his pants with one glimpse of his thoughts. After training with Kamikaze, he would wind down with a look through the book of seals he had borrowed from the Hokage, whom had not seemed to notice the book was gone. The most ingenious seal that Naruto thought had ever been created, the resistance seal. The resistance seal, when applied correctly, would make it seem as if walking through air was as if walking through water. It would apply resistance opposite from the way you were moving to build up muscles and reflexes, making it the perfect seal to use for Naruto's styles. Naruto made sure not to overmake muscles so that he could remain agile and fast, not being weighed down by bulky muscles. The seal seemed to almost know this, and Naruto's body was streamlined like a runner. Not bulky but hard muscles lying underneath the skin. Recently he had realized he was probably the fastest person within the village when he removed the levels of his resistance seal. This seal surpassed the gravity seal because it did not weigh down on the body, thus it did not prevent growth, which Naruto had already been lacking. Naruto now stood at a proud 4 feet 10 inches, one of the tallest of his age group. Even within his current class he was taller than almost everyone else. In his class few had what it took to be ninja, and even of those only 3 stood out as actually making it. Tenten Higurashi, one of the only non-fangirls within the academy. She could hit a moving target from across the training field. It was easy to see she would become a weapons mistress. Naruto took an interest in her for her love of sharp pointy things, but she had never seen his sword. He was not allowed to bring it to school. Rock Lee, although being dead last, definitely had the guts and determination to be the taijutsu specialist he was training to become. Just looking at his hands proved his dedication. Finally, Rookie of the Year, or as Naruto called it, stick up my ass, Neji Hyuga, acclaimed prodigy that was able to master the Jiyuken, the Hyuga's fighting style. Naruto had stumbled across the modified caged bird seal that the Yondaime had been trying to make, and after gathering some materials started to expand upon it. Once he became a genin, he was rather sure it would only take a few months to make a seal that would allow that rift to be bridged. Naruto made his way to school for the genin test that he was to take today. It was finally the day he would be able to make genin and get further training in the ninja arts. Kurisu had given him some low-level jutsus to learn, but nothing with kick enough to do anything besides causing some minor discomfort to other shinobi. He had mastered many of the wind jutsus fast, just as Kamikaze said he would, and could not seem to get really anything above AD rank fire jutsu. Fire seemed to be out of his grasp, though wind and surprisingly lightning seemed rather fond of him. Unfortunately for him, both of those types of jutsus were in short supply in the land of fire, and he wound up with only 3 C-rank jutsus and nothing above it. Although 2 of the jutsu could be upgraded to AB rank if he pumped more chakra into them, though he wasted a lot of chakra doing so. Naruto arrived at the academy and took his normal seat as the rest of his class filed in. He ignored the opening speech from the teacher and took his test when it was handed to him. He scoffed at the questions they were asking. Honestly, could anyone really fail this test? Turning his test over and closing his eyes, he took a nap while waiting the 45 minutes for the test to end. After that, he went to the target practice and waited in line to be called up. He reached for his kunai and shuriken and flung them all one by one towards the targets, hitting the targets each time. Next, he went to the taijutsu sparring mats and stood in front of a chunin that scowled at him. Naruto smirked in his head, if only I could show my actual taijutsu. Yes, Naruto had come up with a bastardized version of the hummingbird style used by the Yondaime in conjunction with the Hiraishin. The book he stole seemed almost like a journal of Yondaime's. It had clues to the actual katas but not a comprehensible amount of data, so Naruto used what he could. His mind came up with a style based upon it, and it was as deadly as the hummingbird style if he did say so himself. Although every time he would try to use it in his spars, the teachers would beat him and tell him that he was using the wrong style and make him use the academy style. So he gave up trying to use his own style and decided to hide it along with some of his other abilities. After all, deception is a ninja's best weapon, right? After losing to the chunin, who had not been holding back, he made his way to the ninjutsu portion of the test. Hoping that he would not have to do the clone jutsu, he walked in and saw a chunin with a large scar across his face. He recalled this was Iruka-sensei. He was a nice person who only disliked Naruto when he pranked, and not that seemingly blind hatred the rest of the village held. Okay Naruto, I need you to do the kawarimi, henge, and bunshin no jutsus. Crap. So much for not having to do the clone. Ah well, might as well give it a shot. Naruto had been able to do the clone jutsu once every 100 times or so and not come out with a totally dead clone, but one that could pass for a few seconds. He just had to hope he could pull it off this time. He did a sealess replacement and finished the henge beautifully. He concentrated his chakra and put as little as possible into it, and with a muttered, bunshin no jutsu, the smoke revealed 2 dead-looking clones. Naruto hung his head and walked out of the door. I am sorry Naruto, but there is always next year, Iruka said as he left. Naruto left the academy seeing no reason now that he had failed and had to wait another year to try the test. He headed to the Hokage monument to think he was always calmest there. Naruto-sama, you mustn't let this get you down. There are other types of bunshin, are there not? Kamikaze questioned once he had arrived in his usual spot on the Yondaime's head. Hi Kamikaze. But I cannot gain access to the jutsu library because of the librarians. Ji-san said he could not help because he cannot show favoritism, and Kurisu has helped so much I do not want to rely on him. Naruto thought back. How about those Anbu who always chase you after a prank? Wouldn't they know the techniques? Questioned Kamikaze, pulling Naruto out of his depression. Ah, the pranks, he had kept doing them to test his stealth and speed. He could honestly say he was nigh undetectable when he wanted to be. Only 4 Anbu seemed capable of catching him. One was a dolphin mask that he could swear seemed familiar. He still couldn't figure out how they did it. Indeed, they would know the techniques. In fact, they would know the strongest of them. Kamikaze, my dear sword, what do you say we plan 2 more pranks? One for the Anbu and one for my graduation in a year. Naruto chuckled evilly as he gained that mysterious glint in his eye that made everyone in the village shiver from the wrath of the prankster king. Naruto had already infiltrated the Anbu headquarters when he was younger just to see if he could do it. He had played pranks on everyone in the village to point out weak spots in the village's defense. He had a folder for the Hokage to use as leverage should he ever need it to keep himself safe and be viewed as worthy to the village. When he makes genin, he plans on giving it to the old man to improve the village. He came up with this plan about a year ago after he had infiltrated the Hyugas, and one of them threatened him afterwards, but they couldn't prove it was him. He decided to be cautious after all, he had not gotten this far being careless. Right now he needed to survive the village itself. After planning and acquiring his supplies, Naruto stole from the stores for what he needed. It helped his stealth and he could not eat if he did not. However, he would only steal from the stores that threw him out. The ones that even overcharged him he would leave alone in respect for them. With this policy he had plenty of money for his shinobi equipment. He had already replaced his original outfit many times when he hit his growth spurt. Even with this spending, Naruto had about 12,000 ryu saved up from what he originally got and his monthly stipend. He was also in the process of making an anti-rape seal. After hearing Kurenai's account he had immediately decided if he could he would stop rape. He was curious on why his henges were real, he had wondered about it, but once he realized it he found this would be the best way to save Kunoichi from their fate worse than death. He had two problems with it currently. Where to get the chakra for the technique for and how to make his process into the seal. He almost had the seal done but the chakra was proving a hard thing to find. He figured once he could figure this out he could market it and gain money in a honest and very good way. Naruto snuck along the rooftops in his prankster outfit. He wore his usual Anbu attire but he had a few additions and a better mask. The mask covered most of his face and changed his hair back to the black color. He carried his kunai and shuriken, blunted just to make the chasers, if there were any, try to dodge, and if they failed it did nothing more than bruise. Naruto never threw it at a person's face, so the only danger was a male. He never had to use these unless those four Anbu found him. He also carried kamikaze with him strapped across his back, with his left hand being the one to pull the blade because he added another sensor on top of Naruto's already enhanced senses. He had been tested by the Hokage for enhanced senses and had found out he owned senses rivaling the nin dogs of the Inuzukas, that's better than the Inuzukas themselves. He was about a block from the Anbu headquarters when Kamikaze spoke up. Naruto-sama, there is a team returning to your left. Naruto nodded, having sensed them almost the moment Kamikaze spoke up. He hid in the shadows and watched as they entered the compound. Naruto had stumbled across this place a year ago and had located the two guards always posted there rather easily. One guard was across the street drinking from a bottle of whiskey that was expired about 10 years ago. The other was always sitting in the all-night cafe eating the same dango and reading the book that went out of style about 3 years ago. Naruto snuck past the guard's watchful eyes and reached the roof of the compound. Naruto had managed to steal some basic blueprints from the records office while he had been visiting the old man. So he knew the library with the jutsu was located somewhere near the baths, oddly enough. The exhaust system to keep the scrolls fresh and the baths were connected. Naruto found the vent leading into the compound and slid himself into the tight space. He had hanged himself smaller than normal so he would not make that much noise. It was risky to use even this little amount, but he would make way too much noise if he was his usual size. He managed to crawl all the way to the hallway leading to the library. He avoided a few traps but did not want to risk going in through the ducts to the library for fear of advanced traps he might not be ready for. So after checking that the coast was clear he dropped down and released his henge to stop his chakra output. He made his way to the library and opened the door. Wow, not much security What Naruto didn't know was that the Anbu were getting a new commander tonight and most were at the naming of said commander. He quickly located the Bunshin section of the jutsu. Ah, here we are. Naruto looked at the collection and wondered why he hadn't thought of this earlier. Quickly grabbing the last scroll titled Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, he copied it down with a jutsu he had learned from Kurisu. Kurisu did this for any popular scroll, it copied the scroll from your original to the blank scroll. Rolling the scroll back up, Naruto decided to take a few seconds to check the lightning section and the wind section if he could. He found a few B-ranked lightning and 2 B-ranked wind. Deciding he had overstayed his rather generous welcome, he snuck back to the hallway and made his way to the changing rooms. He put sneezing powder in all of the masks there, first the males then the females, and turned to leave when the door opened to the shower. Heat rolled into the changing room as Naruto turned around to face the person who had caught him. His breath caught in his throat as he beheld the beauty standing in front of him. She had purple hair down to her mid-back. Her D-cup S sticking out from the cold compared to her shower. Her chest and groin were covered by a single towel. Her thighs and legs well toned as all Anbu were. Stopping his ogling, he finally looked into the woman's eyes and, noticing her amber eyes narrowing in anger, decided to beat a hasty retreat. He quickly said, "Kai," and disappeared in a flash. Gomen na Murasaki Harem. Purple princess, he hit her in the back of the neck with the butt of his sword and knocked her out. As she fell, the towel she had been holding fell loose and Naruto was treated to her, flashing him. Quickly bashing down his forming inner pervert, he covered the beauty again and hanged himself back into his smaller form and re-entered the air ducts. He climbed his way out and headed home for a good night's rest. Time skip. Next morning, Yugao woke up with a headache. She quickly put her guard up when she then realized she was in the Anbu infirmary. She started to wonder why she was here before she realized what had happened. She shot up and checked for her clothes. She noticed she was garbed in the regular infirmary gown and looked around for her clothes. Noticing them on the chair next to her bed, she put them on and walked off to find her captain to report the disturbance. As much as she wanted to keep the embarrassment hidden, if an unknown managed to infiltrate the headquarters, it needed to be known. Finding her captain and quickly explaining the situation, she was taken to the commander's office. Standing in front of the commander, she was confused as to why she would be taken to the commander for this. Sure, it was important, but something else must have gone down for her to be involved. "So Miss Azuki, you had a run-in with the unknown assailant last night within the Anbu changing rooms and were knocked out almost as soon as you noticed he was there." "Hi." The assailant had black hair, blue eyes, was about 13 to 15 years of age, carried a shuriken and kunai pouch on his left leg and had a sword resting along his back. Yugao answered swiftly and respectfully. "Interesting. I assume he is the one for all the ruckus this morning. He a worthy prank if I do say so myself." The commander mused. "Prank, sir?" Yugao asked. "Yes, prank. You see, after my inauguration last night, every Anbu who put their masks back on immediately started a sneezing fit that would not let up for several hours. It seems this assailant only knocked you out because you caught him in the act, so to speak," the commander replied. "You are dismissed, but if you ever catch this young man, please give him my thanks for brightening up the ANBU's days. It has been many a year since I have had such a good laugh." Yugao saluted and left the room, getting her cleaned mask back, and was wondering how she could catch such a worthy person. That sword was no toy, it was radiating power, and he radiated skill that should not be found in one so young. She was excited in finding this guy. Now that she thought about it, that sword seemed familiar for some reason. After pondering it for a bit as she walked back to her apartment, she came across the hilt of the blade. Wait a minute. Black hair, a sword with a swirl on the hilt. This was Kurenai's swordsman. But why would he be pranking the Anbu? He was supposed to be a wandering swordsman. Putting that out of her mind now that she thought about it, his eyes did flash red when he disappeared. She was sure this was that boy. Now she had to tell Kurenai that he lived here now and that he had gotten better. She was to meet Kurenai and Anko tonight anyways. Perhaps she could spar with him. Time skip. That night, Kurenai was in good spirits. She was due to take the Junin exams in 2 months and her genjutsu had never been better. She kept finding these random notes that would give her good ideas to come up with good genjutsus. She was now ranked A high B ranked ninja. Her body had filled out and she could tell she still had some more growing to do. Her S were C cup bordering D cup. She had grown taller but only really in the legs, so her S seemed a bit bigger than they actually were. She was still the Ice Queen of Konoha. Only one person had she found decent enough to date, and that had been Asuma Sarutobi. She was still seeing him on and off, but she could not see doing anything past being friends at this point. She walked into the bar she and her friends always met at. She was looking forward to seeing Yugao. She had been so busy with Anbu lately they had rarely any time to hang out. Anko was still her exuberant self and had managed to get into the T&I division of the Anbu. She was a Tokubetsu Junin 1. She had taken to wearing a mesh shirt with a tan overcoat that did little to hide her body. She flaunted it to say, "You," to all the villagers that scorned her. Kurenai was sad for her friend, but Anko would never want pity, so she was the best friend Anko could want. She was hoping to become a Junin sensei for Hinata Hyuga's sake. She had met her when she was still a Chunin and knew she had confidence issues. She also wished to impart her knowledge onto the younger generation to get some genjutsu into their heads. If she passed the Junin exams in 2 months, she was going to request a team. Turning her attention back to the present, she noticed her 2 friends waiting in the same booth they always had and made her way over. "Good evening, Yugao-chan." "Anko-chan." "Good evening, Nai-chan." Anko responded as exuberant as ever. "Good evening, Kurenai," Yugao said with a smile. They were all wearing civvies, drawing the attention of almost every male within the bar. Kurenai sat down and ordered her food along with Yugao and Anko. All ordered sake. Kurenai got some yakitori, Yugao some tempura, and Anko some dango. After their food had been delivered, they sipped their sake, making some small talk until Yugao spoke up. "I believe I have something that might interest you, Kurenai." Kurenai's eyebrow rose as a signal to show she was interested, and Yugao complied. "Last night I was taking a shower after returning from my most recent mission. I finished my shower and walked into the changing room. The rest of the Anbu were welcoming our new commander." Pausing to take a sip of sake, she saw she had their full attention and continued, "I opened the door and I see a boy about 13 to 15 years of age snooping around within the changing rooms. At this their visages go to hatred. They do not like perverts, as all women have a normal radar against them. I observed him for a second before he turned around. He had a sword strapped to his back with a swirl for the tsuba. This had Kurenai's full attention. He had black hair that fell to his mid-back, tied together to form a kind of mane. When he turned around, I caught a flash of his eyes that were blue." Kurenai's eyes fell. Another dead end. She had looked for years. She no longer looked actively but still occasionally asked around. As did her friends. However, upon noticing me, he said, "Kai," and his eyes flashed red before he disappeared and knocked me out. At this their eyes widened. The swordsman seemed to be back within Konoha. But what would he be doing within Anbu headquarters? Was he a pervert? Yugao saw their thought process and said, "I do not think he is a pervert. When I awoke this morning, I heard of a prank that had been played upon all the Anbu operatives, that all of them had sneezing powder put within their masks." At this Kurenai's face turned to mirth and started to chuckle at Anko's face. She had been caught by the prank and swore whoever it was would pay. Yugao chuckled as well at her friend's face. "So Kurenai, it seems your swordsman is no longer wandering. If you manage to find him, I would like a match. He came across as one with skills far beyond his years." Kurenai nodded and the night continued. Kurenai went to bed that night thinking of the noble boy who had rescued her so many years ago. Time skip 2 weeks. Naruto had been trying to find some time to train in the last 2 weeks. He had always hidden his jutsu training from the old man. Deception. It hurt, but Naruto knew if something happened and he was alone, he would need people to either underestimate him or not have the correct information. In the past 2 weeks, the old man had been here almost daily, and if not him, Kurisu would stop by. He finally allayed their fears. He was depressed and assured them that he was going to graduate the next time. Finally. A day to myself. Now let's check out that Bunshin Jutsu. You know they only do it because they care. Kamikaze said. So Naruto unsealed the Kage Bunshin and began reading the jutsu. Kage Bunshin. A- ranked kinjutsu. This jutsu was deemed forbidden by the Nadaime Hokage for the extensive use of chakra it uses. This clone takes half of the original's chakra and makes a solid clone that can fight in Rakan in place of the original. However, the clone is very fragile, requiring very little actual force to dispel, unlike the water or earth clones. Everything learned within the life of the clone is transmitted back to the original and all remaining chakra is returned. Then it listed the single hand sign need for the jutsu. Naruto was stunned. This was the perfect jutsu for him. He had extra reserves according to Chris and Kamikaze. This would also help on his control. He could study at the library at the same time. Amazing, the possibilities were endless. He quickly got to work on using the jutsu. About 4 hours later, at about 5 in the afternoon. I got it. Naruto shouted as he looked at his fully formed clone. Congratulations Naruto-sama, now we can definitely pass next year. Kamikaze stated. Naruto gave a mental nod and decided to train until sundown. He was in the forests behind the Hokage monument. No one ever came near here. So with a cry of, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, 150 Narutos appeared. Okay, I want group 1 of 50 working on tree climbing while combining the leaf floating exercise. Group 2 of 50 working on water walking while combining with the leaf floating. Group 3 of 20 working with cutting those leaves for wind chakra. Group 4 of 20 work on lighting these light bulbs I had. Group 5 of 10 take Kamikaze 5 using your left hand, 5 using your right, give me stances, thrusts and slashes upward and downward. Muscle memory worked with the clones also. Naruto summoned 5 more clones. Henge into someone else and go red in the library. 1 take anatomy, we need to finish that seal. 1 find cookbooks. Another elemental theory. Another look up clan laws. Another read the most current laws to date. The 5 clones dispersed and Naruto began physical conditioning after upping his resistance seal to level 4. The Yondaime had been on level 8 when his body could handle the Hiraishin. With Naruto's hyper recovery, his body was fixing itself faster and thus his progress with the seal surpassed the Yondaime's. A few hours later, Naruto had decided to head in for the night with all of these clones training. He told them to dispel, and unfortunately for him, he had not specified to dispel themselves in groups and they all dispelled at once. Naruto was immediately knocked unconscious. Mindscape. Naruto opened his eyes to a sewer. The water was only about ankle level. There were 3 types of pipes along the walls. One was glowing bluish white, this was the smallest. The largest was reddish orange. Finally, one that was slightly larger than the bluish white glowed a healthy crimson with streaks of gold. Confused as to where he was, he spoke out. Hello, Naruto-sama. You are alright. Kamikaze responded. Naruto felt his back for his sword and felt him there as a comforting presence. Where are we, Kamikaze? Naruto asked. We are in your mind, Naruto-sama. I occupy a space within your mind as the wind free and flowing upon a meadow of grass stretching as far as the eye can see, but there is this corner of your mind that I dare not venture. There is an ancient entity that I cannot face without you. Kamikaze replied. Naruto was officially spooked already. If Kamikaze was unsure of himself, then this entity was powerful. Well, Naruto said, might as well find out what that seal on my stomach holds. Kamikaze. That's right, Naruto was almost a seal's master himself. He knew that the seal held something, but the only clue he had to go on was demon. He had his theories, but Naruto was never one to make wild guesses, so he kept it to himself and figured the old man would tell him when he thought he was ready. However, if he had made genin and not been told, Naruto might have demanded the answer. Naruto started his trek towards the ancient entity. As he continued, he noticed a heavy air. It swirled around with a maliciousness Naruto had not ever felt. The Ki was getting insufferable, yet Naruto went on and finally came to a room with no ceiling in sight and huge bars kept shut with what appeared to be a single piece of paper with the kanji for seal on it. So my container has finally decided to visit me after all these years. A malicious chuckle filled the air. Naruto asked, "Who are you?" "Who am I? Surely they have told you who you carry, worthless ninja." The voice bellowed, choking Naruto before he regained his senses. Without showing it, the Kyuubi was impressed. Not many could withstand its ki without debilitating consequences. "If I knew who you were, I would have called you your name. Do not insult me. It seems we are stuck together. Let us act civil for now until we can resolve whether we will be friends or not." Naruto responded. "Friends?" The Kyuubi scoffed. "Who would make friends with a demon?" Naruto flinched, memories from his childhood flashing before his eyes. "Peace, Naruto, I am here, I am your friend. A sentient sword and a powerful one at that, very impressive ninja." "Very well, Naruto Uzumaki, my name is the Demon Lord of the Foxes, the Kyuubi no Kitsune." Naruto nodded, his suspicions confirmed before asking, "Is there a reason for attacking my village?" "Need a demon a reason to cause death and destruction?" The Kyuubi said, a grin hanging on its lips as it revealed itself in all its glory, its 9 tails swinging wildly with its reddish-orange fur. "No. But I can see through your mask. I wore one for most of my life before making my few friends. Please tell me the real reason." Naruto said, immediately knowing a fake answer from a lie told to prevent pain. The Kyuubi's eyes narrowed. "Very good, ninja, but you have not earned the right to know of the truth. But I would ask a boon of you if you will. Put your hand upon the cage. I wish to see the life my pampered container has lived." Naruto's eyes narrowed. "Why would you think I led a pampered life?" The Kyuubi responded. "That was the last thing your Yondaime, I believe it was, said before he sealed me. See him as the hero he is." Naruto's eyes widened before going to their usual apathetic state. "Very well, Kyuubi, but know this. Try anything and I will lock you up in a tighter cage than this and you will never see the light of day again." Kyuubi was impressed he had the balls to threaten it. Kyuubi chuckled. "Very well, ninja, I will not try anything on word of my demon self. That is something no demon is willing to lose." Naruto nodded, satisfied with the Kyuubi before starting toward the bars. Kamikaze spoke up. "Be careful, Naruto-sama, what Kyuubi may not consider harmful could actually be harmful to you." Naruto continued his trek, confident and sure. He laid his hand on the bars and said, "Come, Kyuubi, see the life I have lived and see if you respect me after this." Kyuubi laid its paw along the bars and viewed Naruto's life. When the transfer was finished, Kyuubi roared, its 9 tails lashing the bars, trying to get out the cage. "Let me out. Those child beaters. They will pay. What rubbish, humans can be more demonic than the worst demon." The Kyuubi continued on its tirade of the villagers before Naruto spoke. "Stop, please." The Kyuubi's eyes softened and spoke. "Nin no Kit, calling you a part of the human race is too high an honor for them. Your life has been the worst I have ever seen. Within Makai it is considered taboo to harm a child and these villagers have deliberately harmed you. State one request and I will grant it if it is within my power." Naruto thought long and hard for a request and decided, "Kyuubi, could I hold on to the request for a later date? I am content within my life right now." The Kyuubi was a little surprised but nodded. "Very well, Kyuubi, I have seen what I had hoped. Most stories do not show you as overly bloodthirsty and your yokai has healed me many times when I was young." With that being said, Naruto closed his eyes and concentrated. The seal flashed, causing the Kyuubi to cover its eyes, and when it opened them it saw a beautiful meadow with oversized game for it to hunt and a miniature Konoha for it to destroy. The Konoha has a one-time only policy. Once it is destroyed it will stay for a little bit but will disappear. Your one chance on revenge, because I doubt I will let you out. Kyuubi was overjoyed it would finally get some sunshine and it was not stuck within sewage water. Also, I have given you access to my senses. so you can feel the outside world again. When you are ready, please tell me what really happened the night of your attack. The Kyuubi noticed that trees now represented the seal and they acted as bars to separate it from him. The Kyuubi nodded and Naruto sat down to wait until he woke up. As Naruto faded away some time later, Kamikaze returned to the wind and spoke to Kyuubi without Naruto hearing. We have an amazing master, do we not, Kyuubi-sama? Kyuubi simply looked at the wind before curling up and catching the first sunshine it could in 12 years. Time skip 1 year. Naruto thought about all that had happened in the past year. He had mastered the Kage Bunshin and used it to increase his control. He had learned about weapon balancing and was currently in the process of learning to use kunai, after which the final was Senbon balancing. His chakra control was still shot, which he learned that was due to Kyuubi's chakra being inserted into him. Kyuubi could do nothing about this, but in return for this knowledge of why the Kyuubi was feeling a bit weaker, it taught Naruto a small demonic genjutsu which hid Kamikaze's notable feature and kept it so that not many villagers would look twice at Naruto, making it seem as if Naruto was unimportant. Naruto had been relieved when it worked because he was scared that the Anbu operative might be friends with Kurenai, if only you knew, and wind up putting Naruto in a mess. Naruto was a little suspicious at first because of the Kyuubi actually offering to help, but Kyuubi had made it a point to say not to expect this often and that having access to his sense more than made up for it. Naruto also noticed a sharpening of his senses even further than before, and when questioning Kyuubi it simply replied, "It must be a side effect of me having access to yours." He had gotten put into Iruka-sensei's class. It was filled with clan heirs. He had read all the most recent laws of Konoha so he could not be blinded-sided by the council for their blind hatred. Kyuubi had asked if Naruto held any resentment at all and he replied, "A bit. I am not sure how to completely forgive them for being simply idiots, but that is also why I can almost not blame them. They are simply too ignorant to see past their hurt." Naruto was mainly angry at the villagers for denying the last wish of a Hokage. Such a thing would be disgraceful to any of the past Hokages, but these people hailed the Yondaime as a hero but did not take his last words to heart. The clan heirs were actually a good batch of shinobi with a couple of regulars that could make the cut, unlike his last class. First was Choji Akamichi, the clan he had always scrounged his treats from. He found out later, he was a jovial soul who would always be seen with a bag of chips within his hands. He was a laid-back fellow who would only really get going if someone called him a fatass. Next was Shikamaru Nara, the clan of geniuses. He was the epitome of lazy genius with an IQ over 200 and the only one within the class to have seen Naruto as something beyond dead last. He was a formidable opponent and the only one who could play Naruto to a standstill or beat him in shogi. Something Chris had taught him the basics of. Next was Shino Aburame, clan of bugs. He was much like Naruto. Actually, his clan was not well liked for something within his body, so he quickly befriended the quiet logical child and built a camaraderie. He had yet to tell him of his burden, but he was sure Shino suspected something, for his bugs would be wary of Naruto if he would be in a bad mood. Next was Kiba Inuzuka, clan of nin dogs, trackers and all around decent shinobi. These led the Hunter Nin division in conjunction with the Aburames. Kiba was loud, brash, obnoxious, and ignorant to a fault. However, he was loyal and courageous. Everything a dog would be. You could say he was the nin dog in Akamaru. His nin dog was the human, but he was a good person overall, if a bit of a pervert. Next was Sakura Haruno, no clan, just a councilwoman on the civilian council. She was a fangirl through and through but had a smart head on her shoulders that would lead her far into the med-nin field if she put her mind to it. Naruto nicknamed her Howler Monkey. Whenever someone mentioned Sasuke she would go off on how great he is. TCH fangirls. Another was Ino Yamanaka's clan of Mindwalkers, another fangirl, though not as bad as Sakura. She was nowhere near where she could be within her own training. Another was Hinata Hyuga, clan of nobility and Byakugan within Konoha. She was a weird one. She was shy, timid, and nice. Almost everything Hyugas are not she was. She was the only one Naruto would not consider a fangirl, but she was nowhere near her actual level of strength because of her kindness and crush on himself. She had only known him a year, but Naruto knew if he was on her team he would have to break her heart so she could function properly. Finally, the emo king himself, the council's golden boy, Sasuke Uchiha, clan of the Sharingan, it allows the user to copy any ninjutsu, genjutsu, or taijutsu it sees and use it as your own. When Sasuke was 5, his older brother had murdered the rest of his family except him and left him as a self-acclaimed avenger. Naruto felt sorry for the boy for losing his family but was pissed on how he ignored the adoration of his fangirls, expected everything to be handed to him on a silver platter, and was only gaining power to kill. All in all, Naruto did not like Sasuke Uchiha one bit. Iruka-sensei walked into class and after using his demon head no jutsu, got the class to quiet down. He passed out the written test and Naruto answered it as easily as he did the last year. Laying his paper face down, he drifted off to sleep as he saw Shikamaru doing the same. He woke up to Iruka's yelling and headed out to the target practice. He got in line for the practice and waited for his turn. When Sasuke's turn came up, he grabbed all of them with his hands, 5 shuriken in one and 5 kunai in the other, and flung them all at the same time. He hit every bullseye. Naruto, sure he was going to pass, walked up right during the applause, grabbed all of them with his hands and without looking at the targets flung them at the targets. Ha, you can't even hit the bullseye. Sasuke smirked. Iruka-sensei, could you check where the kunai and shuriken landed please? Naruto said in a calm voice. Iruka rechecked the weapons and gasped. You were not aiming for the bullseye, were you? No, Iruka-sensei. Naruto passes this with extra marks. After getting yelled at by fangirls, Iruka explained. Naruto did not hit the bullseye, that is true, however, each of his hits would be deadly to the enemy and your enemy will not always allow you a free shot. Sasuke ground his teeth. Lucky shot. Naruto failed the taijutsu yet again because of Mizuki-sensei, the same from last year, not allowing his own personal style and not holding back. Naruto was nonplussed. He was sure he was going to graduate. Naruto walked into the ninjutsu portion of the test and listened to his instructions. I need you to use Kawarimi, Henge, and Bunshin no Jutsu. Naruto, to pass you must show each. Hi Iruka-sensei, can it be any Bunshin? Naruto asked. Iruka just nodded but narrowed his eyes at the question. Naruto replaced himself with Mizuki-sensei. He hanged himself into a perfect example of the Sandaime pipe and all. He hanged into Sasuke brooder look and all. Finally, with a soft cry of Kage Bunshin, 5 Kage Bunshin appeared next to Naruto. You pass, Naruto, congratulations. Iruka said, sincerely surprised about the Kage Bunshins. Naruto placed his headband upon his head and walked back to sit in the classroom. Iruka walked back into the room and said, okay everyone, please report back here in 2 days' time for team placements and to find out who is Rookie of the Year. Dismissed. The young ninja dispersed into the crowds of waiting parents and Naruto went home with a smile on his face at finally being a ninja and take that first step to his dream.